Hi, and welcome back to this Tuesday edition of Focal Point on AFR Talk. Hope you've been enjoying my good friend Kevin McCullough, the noon to 1 hour, the big dog, as I affectionately refer to him, doing a great job joining our lineup here on the AFR Talk Network. Very quickly, I want to go to the phones here in just a second, but I've got this. Rob, you might want to grab clip number 10. See if we can get clip number 10, the scientist and the reporter little story there. Logging is coming back in the U.S., by the way. This is kind of again, a part of our catastrophic global warming alert. Logging is coming back to the United States because Europe is trying to go away from fossil fuels. They can't burn coal, so they're burning wood pellets. A lot of their power plants now are burning wood pellets. Forests are scarce over there in Europe. So logging industry on private lands has come roaring back in the United States, and the wood pellets are being shipped over to Europe so they can provide some heat. This is particularly true in North Carolina and other states where logging was once a major employer. So the Europeans happy to have our wood. And, you know, one of the things the global warming folks told us is with global warming, catastrophic global warming, we have all these hurricanes. It's going to be horrible. We're going to have hurricanes coming out our ears. Hurricane intensity is going to increase. Well, from 1850, here's the truth. From 1850 to 1989, the United States averaged one hurricane landfall every 8 years before July 1. So every 8 years, from 1850 to 1989, you had one hurricane make landfall in the continental United States prior to July 1. Since 1990, there have been zero, nada, zilch. Now, here is a reporter, clip 10, reporter from the Los Angeles Times, Stacy Leska, and she is asking a question of a research climatologist from the National Severe Storms Laboratory, Robin Tanamachi, about the connection between catastrophic global warming and hurricanes and tornadoes. Let's listen.
It seems like there's been more severe weather. It seems that it just feels like hurricanes are getting worse. Hurricane Sandy ravaged the East Coast. This tornado now has killed 24 people in the town of Moore. Do you think that more severe storms are becoming the norm, and do you think that they're directly related to climate change?
Well, the statistics don't really bear that assertion out. What we're finding is that people's perception that severe weather has increased, that perception is largely based on media presentation, and that an event like the Moore tornado is now broadcast worldwide within minutes of its occurrence, and so it can seem more local to people than it is. But as far as the total number of tornadoes, we haven't been able to discern an increasing trend. As far as the number of hurricanes, we haven't been able to discern a really solid increasing trend with that.
Ouch, ouch, ouch. Science doesn't bear it out. It's all media hype. Let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Vince in Ponca City, Oklahoma. If we can bring Vince in. I read a letter from a Boy Scout leader who said yesterday is going to be my last day. We're going to do the flag ceremony for Memorial Day, and then we're rolling up the Boy Scout uniforms, putting them in mothballs, and he's called the program. Vince, Ponca City, Oklahoma, welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher.
Hi, Brian. How are you today?
Well, good. Well, thank you for calling the program, Vince, and I appreciated the fact you took time to kind of post your resignation letter on our Facebook page, and I commend you, number one, for the decision, but I got to figure, Vince, your family been involved in scouting for 60 years. That had to be a painful letter to write.
Yeah, it was even more painful on Monday when we were at the services.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little emotional. But, what I told a lot of the guys, and a lot of the boys are going to stay in the program because they're so close to being Eagle Scouts, and they've so much time invested. And I had some poignant conversations with some of the fathers. I said, guys, there's another important lesson that has to be learned here, and the lesson that my sons are going to learn is that you have to do what you think is right, even if it hurts you personally.
Yeah.
And we're not done with scouting because we're going to start another program. Matter of fact, we've already got it in the works.
Is that right? Now, is it going to be a brand new startup thing, or is it going to be affiliated with one of the existing scouting alternatives?
Well, it's going to be a brand new startup thing, but we will be affiliated. I have contacted the World Federation of Independent Scouts, and I've received an email back from them on how to get us started and associated through them. So we will have an umbrella association, but it's going to be a brand new deal. And of course, we were not going to be able to call it Scouts because of the trademark,
right?
Because of the congressional charter that the Boy Scouts of America has. But it's going to be a scouting program, and boys are kind of leaning towards Christian Rangers or something like that.
Yeah, and there are those programs that scouting is not explicitly Christian, although it was obviously rooted in Judeo-Christian values and rooted in Christianity and the God that who you take an oath to do your duty to that God. That's the God of the Bible, the God of the Judeo-Christian tradition. But a fresh start, maybe something good can come out of this, Vince, where maybe scouting can be something, or a scouting type experience, maybe something that can be more explicitly rooted in the principles and the truth of Christianity.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you read Baden-Powell's works, Lord Baden-Powell, the guy who's credited with being the father of scouting, he spoke a lot about Christianity.
Yeah.
He said that scouting was Christianity just simplified and lived out in your daily life.
Yeah, it was kind of applied Christianity is the way that Baden-Powell looked at it. So.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, one other question I've got for you, Vince, and we talked about this morning, that we thought there'd probably be a lot of scouts that are pretty close to their Eagle rank, and, it'd be a shame for them to have to pull out of the program this close to the finish line, like you're running the marathon and you're at the 26-mile mark. You're only 385 yards short. Probably not the time you want to quit. So I could see a lot of scouts wanting to finish out the program to get that Eagle badge, and so all that time that they spent is going to be, rewarded by them crossing the finish line. I think everybody understands that, can appreciate that. But we anticipated the real problem for the scouts is going to be you're going to have a lot of people, scouts that are earlier stages in the program. They don't have as much invested. They're going to walk away from this. You're going to have scout masters such as yourself, some of who may have kids that have gone through the program, are going to be pulling out and moving other directions. And the other thing we thought about, and this is what I want you to comment on, where the impact is going to be felt is recruiting scouts at the front end, the Cub Scout level, where a lot of parents are just not going to put their kids in the scouting program to start with. Do you think that's going to be an issue for them right away?
Oh, I think so. I think they're going to feel that impact immediately. And I also think that we're going to see the impact with the BSA is going to be a lot quicker than most people think, because I know that there's a lot of churches that are going to pull out and have expressed that intent anyway. There's going to be a lot of adults like myself that are going to pull out just out of principle.
Well, and that's the thing I wondered, Vince. We've seen up in Canada, it's taken about 15 years. I mean, their participation rate has dropped 63% in 15 years. They're selling campgrounds right and left. Girl Scouts in America doing the same thing since they capitulated to the homosexual agenda. They're now selling off campgrounds to try to stay afloat. But again, that's been a process in the Girl Scouts. They moved in the direction of the homosexual movement in the mid-'90s. So it's taken this amount of time to catch up to them. But I got to think it's going to hit the Boy Scouts a lot earlier, and it sounds like you're thinking the same thing.
Yes, I do. And my question, Brian, is I'm now wondering if the Heritage Girls are going to pull their affiliation with the BSA out.
Oh, I didn't realize they were affiliated.
Yes, they joined. I don't know if that's the exact word, but they signed a mutual type agreement here just a few years ago because the Boy Scouts were sticking to their guns at that time.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't surprise me to see that they would cut that cord because they want to remain true to their principles. All right, Vince. Well, listen, I appreciate very much your call, and God's best to you as you launch out on this new alternative to scouting. I think that's great. I think we're going to see a lot of that. I think a lot of these alternative programs are going to start getting some fresh energy, and in some ways they're going to be a little more pure. The stream is going to be a little more pure than what the Boy Scouts became, and that may be good for America's young men. Well, thanks, Vince. I appreciate the call. God bless you, my friend.
God bless. All
right, let's go to Robert in Macon, Georgia. Let's go to, hang on a second. I'm going to have to go. I'm going to have to go to my thing here and see if I can do it. Let me see if I can bring Robert in. Did I lose Robert? Robert, are you with us? Guess not. All right, my software isn't getting the job done, so okay. All right, let's try see if we can bring in Charles from Eastman, Georgia. Charles, can we bring Charles in? Charles, Eastman, Georgia. Welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Hey, Brian. You had a caller talk about the troops coming home from Afghanistan and the Homeland Security and all the ammo. Well, I am a 19-year veteran with both Army and Army Guard service, and I'm very Second Amendment, all that. But I thought a lot about this. The military will not enforce a martial law for any extended period of time,
right?
Because we are the military. I'm fairly high rank, and I've talked to officers even way higher than me, and they will not do it. They will not follow unconstitutional orders. When you take an oath of enlistment, you support defending the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. If I'm given an order to, fire on American citizens that won't give up their guns or not, that's an unconstitutional order. I don't have to follow that order.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, some of them will do it, but the majority of them won't. Is where this will come from, because I believe it will come. It will be UN troops. They'll bring in UN troops from some third world country that don't speak English. They'll have some Americans that will lead them. If they're doing whether they're martial law or.
Well, do you, Charles? Do you think that Homeland Security would be the American component of that?
Yeah, Homeland Security will be involved. That's what they got the Hollow Point and the MRAP vehicles for.
So you're concerned, as an experienced military guy, you're concerned at the way that DHS is armoring up and ammoing up. You're concerned about the threat that could represent to American citizens.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But like I said, it won't be military, won't be the Guard. They'll bring in UN troops because they'll get killed. I mean, the American citizens will, you got somebody come try to take our guns, they'll kill them.
And what you're saying is the military is just not going to do it. They are not going to follow an unconstitutional order, so it's going to have to be somebody else that does it.
The majority of them won't do it.
All right, Charles. Listen, I appreciate the call very, very much. Thank you for that. Focal Point AFR Talk. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Stay with us.